Now let's finish up by adding some simple materials to this guy. So let's start by coming down to the materials manager here, and let's begin creating some materials. So let's go ahead and create just a new material, and we'll start creating some materials and figuring out what we want to apply them to. So let's say we want to have an eye white material. So we'll call this eye white material. And if we want to come in here, we can maybe add a little bit of reflection. If we want to really brighten it up, we could add some luminance to it. So let's say that's the eye white. Let's say that we also want one for the iris. And so we can call this iris material, maybe in the color. You can make it whatever color you want. Let's make it sort of orange, I guess. We could also add a little bit of luminance to that and maybe make that luminance kind of orange. You can take the brightness down a little bit. Okay, maybe for the pants, we want those to be kind of the pants of the boots. We want them to be black, so we'll call this, just call it black matte. And for the color, let's start by just making it a really dark, maybe not black, but maybe really close to that. You can also change the specularity. You can see there's different modes here, and you can change the width to kind of sharpen that up or make it a little bit broader. You can also change the intensity of it. So we'll do something like that. Now to start applying it materials, all we have to do is take our material and apply it here or here. And so let's say for our eyes, we apply the eye white to the eye. We can apply this to the pants, and let's say also to the boots. Okay, maybe this one is more like his shirt, and maybe it's closer to white, but maybe not as shiny as the eye, so we can apply that to his shirt. Let's do one for the body, so we'll create a new material for the body. We'll call this, let me move this over, call this body matte. For the color, let's choose, I'm just going to choose kind of a blue. And then let's take a look at what we can do here to add a little bit more of kind of an interesting look to it. So we'll choose a blue for the color, and let's go ahead and add it to the head and the arms. Now one cool thing that we can do is we can actually add a bit of color around the edges of this. And so to do that, let's go into luminance. Turn on luminance, and inside of the texture we want to choose this Fresnel. And so this will allow us to change the look of the material based on what edges are facing away from us and which edges are facing towards us. And so let's go into the Fresnel. So right now the edges that are facing away are this white, and then it's layering on top of this black the edges that are facing towards us. Okay, and so we can kind of tighten that up by moving it to where that's a tighter edge around the edge, and we can also change this color. So I want to change this to like a brighter blue. So you get this sort of definition around the edges. I'll make it maybe even a little bit brighter, and let's maybe make the overall color a little bit darker to kind of emphasize that. The specularity too, let's kind of tighten up the specularity, and we'll kind of bring this down a little bit. Maybe something like that. And so you can kind of go back and forth. I think I do want to kind of brighten this up a little. And then you can adjust the Fresnel to go with that. Okay, so it's a bit brighter there. And we can do the same thing down here, even on the pants. You know, they're black pants, but to really make that pop out and give it a really kind of cartoony look, we can go into luminance. Again, add that Fresnel, and then we can come in here and adjust it. Okay, and you can really start to see kind of the shape a little bit more. Now, I probably don't want it to be white, maybe kind of a blue gray. something like that. But it just gives you a little bit of detail, and that maybe even is a little bit too dark. Okay, and you could even do it on like the white shirt if you wanted to. Now, let's do a material for the bumps. We'll do something that's kind of reverse of that. So let's add the bump material. So we can add it there. We can just add it to the polygon geometry itself. Let's come in the luminance and we'll add our Fresnel, but this time we'll do it slightly differently. So let's switch this up. And I'm going to make this kind of a bright blue. Let's make that kind of white. And so you can have like, or you can make it darker actually. You could have it kind of darker around the sides. And kind of bright in the middle. You could come in here and add like a lighter color. Okay, that's probably a little bit too much. We can also take the specularity of that down a little bit. And let's make our color kind of blue. And so you can get kind of a glow going on there. Pull that in. And you can play around with the positioning and of this if you want to kind of tighten it up. Or if you want to add other colors in there. Give it sort of a real interesting effect. Now as far as the eyes go, what I want to do is go ahead and, because I want to separate out the different materials, we want to create a selection for this. And so we want to create a selection tag. Let's go ahead and live selection. And let's grab just the iris. Okay. And let's go to mesh. Let's see, actually select is where we want to go. Set selection. And then I can name this iris on the lower right, and you can see it's created a selection tag there. Now let's select off of that. We don't want to have that selected. And we'll select these polygons in the middle. Let's go to select, set selection, and we'll create a new one, and we'll call this pupil. Let's create a new material. And let me reduce this size so we can see it. And we'll call this pupil material. This one, we don't need the color. We just want the luminance, and we want the luminance to be black. I don't need specular either. We just want it to be blacked out. So now what we can do is let's apply all these materials. So we'll apply the iris material and the pupil material. So we've got all these materials here, 3 materials assigned to this. So what we want to do is tell Cinema 4D which of these polygon tags we want these materials applied to. So we'll select the pupil material, and under selection we can choose pupil, and then under the orange one we'll choose iris, and then we just want to make sure that they are in the right spot. Let me make sure I've named those right. Okay, that's iris with a capital I. And then that is pupil with a capital P. Okay, so pull that forward. So now that's applied only to the pupil polygons. This one's applied only to the iris polygons, and this white is only applied to the rest of the eye. So turn that off. And you can see where you can use multiple materials to add to a single object. So have a little bit of fun with, adding more colors and materials. And if you want to continue on with the kind of techniques that we use as far as building extra pieces to this guy, feel free to do that. So this has just been kind of a starting point of getting into building cartoony kind of characters. And even if you don't necessarily want to end up building cartoony or stylized characters, it's a good starting point on just looking at how to build up those shapes. And realistic characters are kind of more of the same. So you have a lot of the same techniques, it's just more detailed, obviously. Or if you want to continue on with the stylized nature of it, then you've got a good base for building that geometry. Now it comes down to kind of the design and that sort of thing. You can start out by using existing designs, or if you feel like you want to go ahead and design your own, then feel free to do that. And again, post those online. We always love to see work done through our courses. So hope you've enjoyed the last couple of hours going through this creating of cartoon characters in Cinema 4D. It's a really great application for building these, and has some really cool tools. So thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.